Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we're talking about a ship that is long overdue for its own standalone video on this channel, and that is a Tier 10 Soviet destroyer, the Delny. Now, the Delny was, well, tied with being the second ship replacing a already existing Techline Tier 10 ship. All the way back when we had the Soviet heavy and light cruiser split, the devs removed the Moskva and replaced it with the Petropavlovsk because, according to them, it quote-unquote makes the line flow better and is a more logical conclusion to the Soviet heavy cruiser line, which I don't really agree with that one. I mean, the Moskva was already a fine Tier 10 cruiser, and I still think it's a pretty darn good one, even as a premium ship now. But yeah, we had that happen, and then a little while later, they went ahead and removed the GK and the Khaba, the GK being the Tier 10 German battleship, one of my absolute favorite ships in the game, replacing her with the Preußen, because, again, according to Wargaming, the Preußen is a more logical conclusion to the German battleship tech line, which I can kind of see that one, because literally every German battleship in the tech line has dual guns in turrets, and then we get to the GK and we have triple guns in turrets, which, yeah, sure enough, that doesn't make sense if you look at the rest of the tech line. And now we have the Preußen, which I think the Preußen is a much better ship for the current meta, but I still love my GK. But anyway, we're not talking about the Preußen and GK, we're talking about the Delny. So, just like the GK and the Moskva, the Khaba was removed and replaced with this, the Delny, because for some reason the Khaba didn't make sense. Why? I don't know. The Soviet destroyers have had a split for quite a long time. You have the gunline split, which is the from the Tier 8 to the Tier 10, starting off with the Kiev, going to the Tashkent, and then going to the Khaba, and then with the hybrid ships, you have the what is it? The you don't really see too many of these Soviet destroyers in game too much anymore, but I do see more of the the Grozavoy. That's what I was thinking of, the Grozavoy, than I do of the Delny in game. So you have the Grozavoy line, which starts with the Ogdevoy, then Udaloy, then you get to the Grozavoy. And for some reason, Wargaming thought that the Khaba didn't fit in the line anymore, and they replaced her with the Delny. Now, both ships are running gunboats, but the Delny is just worse in every single way when compared to the Khaba, except for one. And if this one characteristic that was holding the Khaba back was, so dire that they felt like they needed to go and make a whole new ship for it, I don't know why they just didn't buff the Khaba. But anyway, before we get into that, let's just go ahead and run through the Delny stats real quick, and I'll kind of hit on some of the points as we go through that. So let's look at the armor. And starting off, the armor is not as good as the Khaba. Now, the Khaba is famous for having a 50mm plating, which the Delny does get. The Delny does get a 50mm plating over her, well, where her citadel would be, but she's missing the other 50mm plates that the Khaba has by its barbettes. It has one by the 1 and 2 turrets, and then another one by the 3 and 4 turrets. And the Delny is also missing the 25mm deck of the Khaba. So, you're already taking the legendary armor of the Khaba, and you've thrown that out the window, except for the one center plate. Yeah, you can kind of see where this is going, and that's pretty much the rest of the ship too. It's just worse, again, except for one aspect. So, come down to survivability, it has 26,200 hit points with the commander that I have on it. I'll throw that build right up here again. And then the guns, I do not know what was going through their head here. So she has 6 130mm guns. She lost a turret compared to the Khaba. Now she has the same number of guns that the Tashkent has, and they're pretty much the same guns as the Tashkent. But the Tashkent's a Tier 9. And you just put a Tier 9's firepower on a Tier 10's. The only difference between the Delny and the Tashkent is that the Delny gets I think it's like 500 meters more range than the Tashkent. Now, 500 meters more range than the Tashkent does mean you have quite a bit more range than the Khabarovsk. The Khabarovsk got hit with the Nerf bat pretty hard, and her maximum range, once you slap a commander on there, is only about 13 kilometers. But the Delny, with a commander build on it, you can get out to 15.8, which is, yes, that is the biggest and only improvement that the Delny has over the Khabarovsk, with that and the torpedoes, but we'll get to that in a moment. So you have pretty darn usable range with the Delny, which would be nice if your guns were anywhere near tier 10 levels. Again, this is essentially tier 9 firepower on a gun destroyer at tier 10. And consider that we have super ships in the game now. So, yeah. And the guns, too. I do not know what's up with these guns, but the dispersion on them feels terrible. Like, it's so bad at times. According to the stats, the maximum dispersion is only 133 meters. I can tell you, it gets to that maximum dispersion quite a lot. And you can tell in the game that you're watching in the background now, I managed to get into a pretty nice position, which is one of the good things with the Delny. You can pull this off more often. You can find an island and abuse that island cover for a little while longer, like with the Khabarovsk. You can do that too, but it's usually at much closer distances, so you can't really get the arcs right with the Soviet arcs. But I was able to just sit and farm a couple battleships for a while because there was no DDs or cruisers near me to harass me. And the DPM is so bad in this that if this was the Khabarovsk and I could get in this position with the Khabarovsk and be in gun range for this long, these ships would have been melted. This has 20k less DPM than the Grozovoy, which isn't even a gunboat. Let that sink in. This has less DPM than the hybrid destroyer that's supposed to be a gun and torpedo boat. So it makes trades off here and there for better torpedoes and such. And it's a better gunboat than the dedicated gunboat line in DPM. So how much do you rip a turret off of? Well, not rip a turret, but don't add a turret to a Tashkent and then push it up to tier 10. So, but it does have the good Soviet shells, arcs like I was talking about, and ballistics and such. The shells do come out of the tubes at 950 meters a second. It does get the same AP that's actually sap that the Khabarovsk gets. So yeah, sure, it does a lot of the same things that the Khabarovsk does with its guns. You can pin the upper belts of weakly armored battleships. You can pin the extremities of battleships with that AP, and again, the arcs and the velocity are good to where it does make shooting at range easier. And that was the Khabarovsk's thing. It used to have range very similar to this, and you could just dunk on everybody with that range because you were in a fast, maneuverable destroyer with excellent guns, with excellent shell ballistics, so you could keep at range and just pretty much bully whatever came across your path. And with the Khaba 2, since it was such a large target, and it was fast, but it wasn't that great when it came to its rudder shift time, you could take on most DDs if you kept them at arm's reach, but if you messed up and they got in close to you, you were pretty much done, because at closer range they would win, but you would win at longer ranges using your shell ballistics and such to your advantage. The Delny, you just lose at every range, because yeah, even if you can't keep destroyers at arm's length with your excellent shell ballistics and such, you're still way undergunned for your tier. In a gunboat. Like, again, this is supposed to be up there with like the likes of the Kleber and the Khabarovsk and the Marceau and stuff, but it's not. So just on that basis alone, this is supposed to be a gunboat. You already just it's just no. The Tashkent's better tier for tier because you have the same firepower at tier 9, so you get better matchmaking because you can potentially be top tier, obviously, and not have to deal with super ships. But yeah, and the guns, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but with the build that I am running on it, they do reload in 4.2 seconds, so it's not like you got a huge DPM increase from the Tashkent either. Well, reload increase from the Tashkent. Now the torpedoes are more usable too. You get 10 of the 533s. They do have a 10-kilometer range, which is much better than the Khabarovsk's 6 kilometers. The Khabarovsk, I've used the torpedoes like 3 times. It's either when I need to rush something or I get surprised and someone ambushes me from close range. But with the Delny, you can throw the torpedoes out every so often, but they do kind of just tickle. They only do 15,100 damage. They travel at 60 knots and they're spotted from 1.2 kilometers away. That being said, you know, they don't do that much damage, but you do actually get to use them a lot more often than you do with the Khabarovsk. So, I mean, yeah, the Khabarovsk torpedoes hit harder, but you use them way less than you do in the Delny. A defense, just forget about it. Doesn't have any, essentially. Max speed 45.7 knots, and of course you do have the speed boost as well. At the build that I'm running, she has a 3-second rudder shift time and a very large 700 meter turning circle radius. Concealment, I am running the I don't like concealment build that I run on all the rest of my gunboats, because with gunboats you're going to be firing and you're going to be spotted anyway, so it's kind of not worth it to build into concealment. In my mind, you can dump those points, those modules, into much more useful things. She's at 9.1 kilometers, which is just over half a kilometer better than the Khabarovsk's, because I run the same build on my Khabarovsk, and Khabarovsk is 9.7, but you can build into it and get it down to not super stealthy, but again, like, it's just kind of mediocre, and again, it's a gunboat, so I don't see the point of building into concealment. Modules and consumables, you get 8% an 8% engine boost that's active for 120 seconds. Reload 114 seconds. You get 4 charges of those with Superintendent, and you have your choice of smoke or heal. You should take the heal because it's a heal. You get 157 hit points back per second, 28-second action time, reloads in 76 seconds, and you get 4 charges of that base. So, the Delny. Like I said already, just based on the guns alone and the fact that this is supposed to be a gunboat, it's just terrible. It's worse in every way than the Khaba, except for the range. The range is much more usable, and that is a much more comfortable ship to play when it comes to that. But the Khabarovsk, which is still available as a free coal ship, of course, if you get comfortable with playing it a little bit closer and playing at what is, your max range now all the time, it's so much better. It's a much better gunboat when it comes to just the sheer DPM of it. And I like the Khabarovsk way more than the Delny. And what's really telling is that, how often do you see Delnys in games? You don't see Khabarovsk in game that much anymore, but you never see Delnys in matches. And I played this ship for a couple hours just to see if I could maybe get it to work, but it's just so frustrating. You have to put in so much more work to get just similar damage to the Khabarovsk that the Khabarovsk could easily get, or any other gunboat could easily get at tier 10, because again, you have tier 9 firepower at tier 10. It's literally a Tashkent with like slightly better armor. It's I think slightly faster and has slightly more range. That's all it is. And according to Wargame, they wanted to make this a more logical development from the Tashkent to the Khabarovsk, which the Tashkent's not even made by the Soviets. It's an Italian destroyer. But I don't see why they couldn't have maybe just given it a 4th turret. They could have left the range alone. Having this ship with a 4th turret, I think, would be infinitely better. What's really funny too is that the Zorky, the super destroyer for the Soviets, is literally Khabarovsk with a funny button. It's a Khabarovsk with the boosted reload and her old torpedoes for back in the day, I think the 12 or 13 kilometer torpedoes, and the range restored. That's literally what Zorky is. So I don't know if they thought that Khabarovsk was too powerful, which she really kind of was back in the day. She really was just kind of a destroyer of worlds. One of the most annoying ships to deal with back in, God, what was it, like 3 years ago or 2 years ago before they nerfed her? And they made her super ship. But yeah, guys, I do not think this ship is worth the grind. If you do go up the Soviet gunboat line, the Tashkent is probably best where to stop at, unless you just want to pick her up so you have another tier 10 come the Santa Container event and the Snowflake event at the end of the year. Yeah, that's the only reason why I would say pick this ship up. Other than that, I would say if you want a good Soviet gunboat, just save up the coal and get the Khaba. You gotta play a little bit more close than you used to back in the day, but she's got better armor, better guns, better DPM, and is all around, in my opinion, just leagues above this ship. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's been way overdue for this Delny video, but it's time to get it. It was time to get this video out. So yeah, man, what a letdown. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 40,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you're all having a wonderful Monday. Have a wonderful week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.